Well, I plugged it in. I'm recharging it, but now it's weird because the cord is short. You know when your mouse is
Oh,
like in a different part of the table, and now you're like,
yeah. The Apple mouses. Are you using an Apple mouse?
uh, it's a knockoff Apple mouse.
Oh, perfect. Okay. See, the Apple mouse has like a flaw in the design where the charging
The
port's in the
charger's
bottom of the
underneath.
mouse. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
was
like
like,
you
no way, I'm
can't.
not doing that.
You
I'm not
prevented
buying
that.
that. I'm not paying retail to not be able to use my mouse while it's plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
Either
Good
that or
move.
use a
Good move.
router to like cut a slot in your desk so the cord can go up. That would be involved.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Yeah.
welcome Dell to the call. Dell, good morning from British Columbia. Hey, I watched a new show that I found from British Columbia. I know that people that live in British Columbia hate that I think that this is a thing. Um, when you watch TV in America and you think about British Columbia, it is you think it's just desolate. There's nothing but trees and bears and wolves and things. It's another one of those oh, it's called ah it's like it's like evacuate. I think that's what it is. Evacuate. And so a family, three people in a family, they're on a team, and one of the people from the team gets dropped off in the woods next to a lake in British Columbia with nothing. They get a canteen full of water, and they're just dropped off. And then it's, well, how long can they stay there? And the winner gets $250,000. Now the other two people in the family, they go to the operation center, right? They go to the whatever they call it. I can't remember what they call it. It's a big thing, and they all have like little mini houses they sleep in that are attached to the thing. They're like little containers, right? And so there's this like bedrooms, and then this main strategy full of cameras and screens and everything. So you watch everything that happens with these people in the woods. But then the team that's back, they compete to be able to get stuff to send to the person in the woods. It's like watching the Hunger Games in real life. Like you're going to be able to get a canteen or a sleeping bag or a poncho or a tarp or a whatever. Uh, and then there's challenges that the survivalists have to pass too. And then if they want to leave the woods, here's the really sad part of the show. If they want to leave the woods, Emily, are you with me here?
Yeah.
Pretend you're in the woods. You got nothing. You haven't talked to anybody in 3 days. You haven't eaten in 3 days. You ran out of water. You're sitting on a wooden box with nothing in it. You haven't been able to figure out how to start a fire because it turns out that these people are not real survivalists. They don't know anything about the woods. And so
Hmm.
you haven't been able to start a fire. You're freezing. It starts raining. You sit down on a wooden box and you just say, you look at the camera and you start crying and you say, please evacuate me. Please send them to get me. Please evacuate me. But your family is back in headquarters and they go, I really don't think they need to be evacuated yet. And so you don't get evacuated until your family pushes a button and then they go and rescue you out of the woods. Like
Oh,
you got to agree. So they had this one where this girl's literally in the woods. She's just crying. She's like, "Oh, please evacuate me. I don't think I can do this anymore." And her fiance's like, "Nah. We talked before she went into the woods, and she said if she has to be evacuated, to give her a couple of days to think about it."
oh no.
And she's crying. Oh, okay. That's enough of that. Dell,
Wow.
Dell, you make me happy in so many ways you don't even know. All right, I want to welcome Cindy to the call. I know Cindy personally, so it's awesome to have you here, Cindy. She writes, just why? Um, I think we are coming to the end of civilization, Cindy, as we know it. I think Idiocracy, the comedy movie, is becoming a documentary. Um, I think that that whole show, my wife and I, it's such a okay. So it's such a horrible show in that regard Like you can't take your eyes off of it. It's like driving on the highway in a snowstorm and just waiting to see an accident happen. It's crazy. It's crazy. Bring me home. Bring me home. Evacuate me. And they go, nah, I don't think they're suffering enough. Not. There's $250,000 on the line. I think they can do it. Oh, pretty funny. Pretty funny. Dell says it sounds weird. Well, of course it sounds weird to you, Dell. Rumor has it you guys have a Burger King in town. So last time I joked with somebody about British Columbia and living in the woods with bears, they said, I don't know what you're talking about. We have Burger King. And so that sticks in my mind now. Burger King. If you have Burger King, that's the height of civilization. Joe, welcome to the call. Good evening from the UK. I used to really love mornings, Joe, but now it's like when someone says good evening, it just feels peaceful to me. It feels like, hey, we're at the end of the day. I'm chilling. You know what? I'm going to sign into this call because I want to. I'm not going to sign into this call because I have to. Just good evening has such a calm thing to it. Cindy says, hi, Kurt, right? Cindy's phenomenal, by the way. She works on a project that does education for kids, Emily, in case you didn't know. And she has a Divi website. I believe it's Divi. Yeah, I think it's Divi. And pretty site. She's done a lot of work, a lot of good work in there. And
Nice.
so true. It's wild out there, not just in British Columbia. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, hey, Joe, don't worry. If you have to drop out, you got to drop out. But, you can cycle through. It says, I'm lagging quite a bit. I'll put that up there. I'm lagging quite a bit. Don't sweat it. Here's the deal. I got to get on to some things. So some of those things would be if you've got questions for us, because the whole idea of this get together is not to talk about my crazy TV watching habits with my wife, but we're supposed to be talking about LifterLMS and problems, questions, concerns you might have with LifterLMS. So if you have any problems, questions, or concerns, drop those questions into the chat. If you haven't yet tried LifterLMS, I want to encourage you. You could try LifterLMS like a no-risk kind of deal. Like we host a sample site for you. It's fully populated, fully blown out with add-ons, all that stuff. Go to lifterlms.com/try. lifterlms.com/try. It's $1. But for $1, we host that demo site for you for a month. And you get to try and play and do and treat it as if it was your own website. And you don't have to go and find hosting or build a website or any of that. You just sign up for $1 and it's yours. What else do we have that we can talk about? Oh, yeah. If you hang out with us, we have a 55% off coupon. And you can get access to that by going to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. All right. Now, do we need to sing happy birthday? Are they in the room with you?
No, she just left and went to a doctor's appointment. But you know what? I don't know if she's gonna come back while our call is still on, sadly. But yeah,
Well,
we got all these balloons, and they're the kind of balloons that are gonna last for 2 years. And so we are committed to the birthday for a while.
my sister is a grown person. She's only 6 years younger than me. And she celebrates her birthday for a month. She calls it her birthday month.
Really?
She has had this weird, twisted habit for years. And her husband is actually kind of getting a little tired of it. He's like, seriously, how long are we gonna keep this charade up? She's like, it's my birthday month.
That's awesome. I literally proposed a birthday week for Adelaide. And so we've been doing activities nonstop since Saturday, and it's going to go until Saturday. So I'm getting 5 hours of sleep a night because we're doing all these activities. So many friends, but she's having a good time.
That is awesome. So speaking of lack of sleep, and I see the comments coming. Don't think we're ignoring you. I can't explain it really, Emily. I don't know if it's like the podcasts and all the exposure is finally taken root, or how to really explain the sudden. I've got 3 new coaching clients that I've brought in this month, as the new year started. And we're a full service agency at Manana No Mas, and we're putting out a proposal this week that's like to take over, like the almost like, I don't want to overemphasize, pardon me, what we're putting on the table, but we're basically going to run the online side of this company's business. Like, they have struggled, they have a beautiful website, and they have struggled with promoting that website, or being focused on how to promote it on social, or how to repurpose their videos, or how to use keywords, or how it's like they've got all this awesome content and this awesome course that's built, and they're not getting any traffic or any conversions because they're so busy. They're so split, is the way to say it, right? They're so split in their focus that they haven't been able to drive traffic or conversion through any of the properties. And so, we kind of stepped in and we said, hey, we've known you for a while, and you keep hiring these weird people off of Upwork to do things that never work out. Why don't we just have a strategy and put it on a schedule? And so we're going to start taking that over this week, and pretty excited about it, because it'll be fun to actually leverage, especially some of the things we've put in place at Manana No Mas over the last year. It'll be fun to extend that to a client and then really track those results. So I think that'll be cool. We've got some new conversion tools and reporting tools, and some repurposing AI tools, and so there's just all kinds of ways to help promote these businesses. And unfortunately, and I might be putting words in people's mouths, but I think a lot of people have great ideas. I think they want to share something with an audience, and I think they can build the overall project. I think they can get to, like, hey, I've got a site and I've got a course, but I think there's a huge disconnect when it comes to, promotion, marketing, social, SEO, and driving traffic. I think that's just a whole other animal, and some people just don't have the patience or the internal desire to really learn it and master it.
Yeah, I see that commonly, like with some clients. Their digital strategy. You can't really outsource some things. You can't outsource the strategy of your business. There are some things that are like basic to business setup that you can often outsource, like building a basic website, building a logo, stuff like that. But you can't outsource the effectiveness of the strategy components of your business. And I think that's what I see a lot of people try to do.
Yeah. One of my old employers just listed a social media position, and it always hurts my heart when it's an industry that I love and I know it's going to fail. Like you just look at it, you go, ah. So I look at how they're trying to do it. I read the listing, and I was like, they're trying to hire somebody to like magically make cool stuff to promote on social media about their company. And it's like, well, how are you putting that person in the mix? Like, are they going to events? Are they taking pictures? Are they interviewing people on the spot? Are they creating live testimonials? Are they like, how are you driving the energy and the amazingness of your product and your internal culture? How are you driving that out to the masses? And what they want to do is like basically hire some intern level person to try and like repurpose brochure pictures for social media posts. And it's like, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. You have a product, and you have an audience that is very passionate and experiential. And if you don't bring experiences to the social platform, you're not going to drive the traffic. It's not going to create conversions, and you're not going to get the return on investment you think you should get, But I think a lot of people run into that. I think they think that if they repost the same PDF or the same hero image, 17 times in a month, that it's going to make $1,000 in revenue. And it's not. Like, you really have to do more work than that. It's hard work. And to me, it takes time. I think it's an organic thing and not a quick button push thing. Let's see. We've got a lot of stuff going on in chat, so let's get back to that, because my soapbox is getting slippery. Cindy says, thanks for the shout out. Cindy, you don't have to worry about thanking me for a shout out. You've earned it. You've done some good work over there. Zippy says hi. Hi, Zippy. What do we got here? Good afternoon from Texas. This is Barbara. Joy Circles. I would actually like to know more about that. That's a good name, Joy Circles. There's a lady named Joy that has a shipping company in our neighborhood. And I think my wife went there just because her name was Joy. Joy was my mother-in-law's middle name, so anyone named Joy is already in the family. Zippy says we got some questions. Do we only use the chat? For this call, we only use the chat. Zippy, if we go in the Wayback Machine about 3 years ago, we used to do this call on Zoom, and we used to put a public Zoom link out there, and we used to try to educate people on Zoom and give people free advice. And what we got was people joining the call while we were live streaming and throwing up like cartoon porn and stuff like that, like just Zoom bombing, right? And so we had to go to this StreamYard platform where on the open links, the Ask Me Anything call, it's just by comments. But know that we also have help@lifterlms.com that you can email. If you have a licensed version of LifterLMS, you can do a support ticket, and that, whatever you need there through a support ticket. We also have 2 active Facebook pages, one for general admission and then one for people that are on the Universe or Infinity bundle. And we're pretty active on all those channels. So you can always get a hold of us that way. But let's throw it out there. I see you got a couple of questions in chat and you've kind of figured that out. So you're asking right off the bat, are we LTI compliant if we want to integrate WebEx via a third-party application? We are not out of the box LTI compliant. However, we have a very active REST API. We are open in that regard, and you can, custom develop any additional features or securities that you require. Emily, refresh me. LTI compliance. Didn't you do a project with LTI compliance recently?
Yes. Yeah. So getting into LTI is very complicated. There's so many components, and it stands for learning. I think it's Learning Tools Interoperability or something. It There's LTI compliance by a plugin by Stephen Vickers for LearnDash. And we worked with Stephen directly on the project and adapted the product to work with LifterLMS. It was a huge rabbit hole, and it was like kind of a big client work job, but it works. And now we have integration with Brightspace, we have integration with Moodle, we have integration with all these platforms, and so we can log students into LifterLMS from the LMS. Like colleges have their own LMSs, like their Brightspace or their Moodle or their Blackboard. That's their LMS, and LifterLMS is considered a tool. It's just a learning tool because they have their own grade reporting system, and then we are simply a tool. And so it kind of turns LifterLMS away from the reporting features into simply being take the course, take the quiz, we'll send the grades back to Brightspace. And so it uses LifterLMS like a component or an education book rather than a full LMS in itself that handles enrollments and reporting. We defer all that. So yeah, it's definitely possible with Lifter, but it's an involved process.
Yeah. The other side of that question, though, and not to sound snarky or smart, is the question of why, right? So like why? Like a lot of people, especially in a commercial or corporate learning space, they hear something and they go, oh, we got to make sure we have that. It's really important to ask why. I just had a client come through. They thought they required some LTI compliance, and it turned out all they really needed was an open ID connection to a third-party website where the registrations would occur, and then that registration would automate a process back to the Lifter LMS site where the student would take the courses and use the LMS as an LMS. And so understanding the why part of it's really important. If a vice president or director of technology or somebody like that says, oh, we must have LTI compliance, it's never harmful to ask, hey, no problem, I can look into that. Can you give me the specifics why we need that? And in a lot of cases, most cases, it turns out it's not a requirement. It's more like some term somebody heard. It's like I once worked for a large corporation, and the CEO literally was sitting at a Starbucks on a company trip out of state, and they overheard people that worked at Apple talking about being agile, right? What agile means. And so literally eavesdropping on someone else's conversation about being agile. He came back to the office and announced, we're going to be agile now. So we're going to have daily stand-ups and we're going to have runs and sprints, and this is how we're going to run our business now. But literally had no idea of what agile really was, or how agile worked, or the philosophies of agile and the work culture that would require changing to be an agile company. And so it's real important that you ask the whys, right? So that you can work yourself through that. And Zippy, I certainly don't mean to talk down to you, so don't take that apart. Don't take it that way. Remember, these are recorded and they're put up on our Facebook page and they're streamed, and there's tons of people that see this. So our full answers are for everyone else that's watching as well. The coupon is in the chat for you, so we've got that. And let's jump on to Barbara real quick. Barbara's asking some questions that I think we can actually resolve. So is there a way to get notified when participants register for a class? That big answer is yes. In fact, it's built into the system for you, Barbara. Emily, can you do a screen share and just go to LifterLMS settings and notifications and just show her where it's at?
Yeah, definitely. And we were talking about, they're like, LearnDash is not LTI compliant. So this is the tool. One Ed Tech developed the term LTI and the compliance process. And so they're working through the One Ed Tech standards. We got the whole site approved, connected, and everything. So Lifter and LearnDash can work for this. LearnDash is a little closer because of that integration out of the box, but Lifter can work with it with some custom development on top of that product. And what we're going to be looking at is LifterLMS settings, and I'll zoom in a little bit. My computer's zoomed out. LifterLMS settings notifications. There's a couple ways to do this. One of them, LifterLMS settings notification, we'll find enrollment. That's when someone gets added to a course. I like that they changed the name. Longtime LifterLMS users will know that this used to say basic and email. But basic was a little bit confusing about what does that mean, and so pop-up is great language. Love that. So people get a pop-up when they're enrolled that says, hey, you're enrolled in the course, but they also could get an email. And so this goes by default to the author of the course. So we can check the box, and that will go to the author of the course post type. You can customize it if you want to. By default, it says, congratulations, someone enrolled in a specific course. You can change what information is in this email. You could also use an engagement to yourself if you wanted to, but I like the notification. It keeps it simple, keeps it within LifterLMS out of the box, and that's the setting.
Yeah.
That
And if you have authors that are separate from the administrator, you can always add yourself as an additional recipient. All right.
Yes. Yeah.
Right on, right on. One thing I didn't mention to Zippy yet, as we're going to have another question from Zippy, and that is, we do have an experts link on the website for Lifter. So if you went to lifterlms.com/experts, there's a list of vetted experts there that you can reach out to for help with custom development and setting things up. I'm there under Mañana No Mas. Emily is there under WP Course Guide. Here we go. Zippy. I'm a Moodle user looking to switch to a WordPress LMS to avoid using bridge software to connect the two. Yeah. Newsflash. I migrated from Moodle as well. I used to run the internal training for Ducati North America. And when I first put Ducati North America on e-learning, I put them on a product from Moodle, and I built that out in a website. And although I figured it out, right, and maybe this is your experience too, Zippy, I was like, oh, this Moodle thing, it works. Like, I can put my courses, my lessons, I can even put SCORM content in here. I can make this website work. The feedback I got from the students was constant. I can't find this. I can't find that. How do I this? How do I that? And I was like, it's not that hard. Seriously, just look at the website and use it. But people really seem to struggle with the interface. And then in the corporate learning space, I started shopping around for people that would provide, bespoke learning websites. And what I found through the research, really doing the deep research on it, was a lot of these companies were basically using Moodle as their base because it's open source, and then just reskinning that experience. So they would reskin the pages to work on the user experience for the student, but really leveraging Moodle as the data tool. And much like yourself, I said there's got to be a better way, because those reskinned Moodle websites were a $90,000 buy-in, and then 30 to 50 grand a year to manage them. And I thought, there's got to be a better way than that. And that's what brought me to the WordPress space. And I would say it's been 11 or 12 years. It's been 12 years. Holy crud. It's been 12 years that I've been experimenting in WordPress with LMSs and extending them and making them work better in a corporate space. My focus is really on, enterprise level e-learning. So how does one avoid the LMS slowing down the regular WordPress website? Okay, well, let's just be real. Zippy, the LMS is a heavy piece of tooling on a WordPress website. It's dynamic and it's heavy. And then you factor in a lot of users want to use Divi or Elementor or Beaver Builder or something on top as a page builder, which is also heavy. And then people want to factor in a CRM tool. And a CRM tool that runs in the back of your website typically can be heavy. And when I say heavy, I mean in server resources. So all of these dynamic tools begin to weigh down the website and slow some things down. What can you do? Well, for one, you don't want to over cache the website. If you over leverage caching through the server or over leverage caching through the site, like 3-4 different cache tools, you create a lot of caching conflicts, and what you expect the user to experience on the front end of the website will not be what they experience. We coach a lot of people on how to lessen the use of cache in their websites, especially on their dynamic pages. That gets to be a thing for some folks. So when you really start getting into performance issues, I'd like to point you to LifterLMS.com. If you go to the search box and you type in scale, SCALE, it's going to show you a series of blog posts and podcasts that we have hosted. This is a subject that we've covered in depth. There is a blog post that was co-authored by Convesio, which is a very high-performing host, and they gave us some really great information on like how to optimize an LMS and get the best performance out of it with hosting. I'm going to be the first to tell you, if you're trying to go cheap and throw this thing on Bluehost or Hostinger or SiteGround or something like that, you're going to have some growing pains. Like, you can make the site work and it will function, but you probably won't get the performance you're looking for, especially when you start adding concurrently logged in users. So it depends on the scope of your project, how much traffic you're going to drive to it. But I would recommend looking at more premium hosts. When you look at a website of this capacity, don't be surprised if you start out with a $35 or $55 a month hosting plan. If you have users, right? Like, building on the cheap is fine if it's just you and some administrators building and knocking out the courses. But once you go live and you launch and you bring in users, I personally recommend a more premium hosting environment that has the resources to keep the performance where you need it to be. Emily, I've talked a lot, but I have some LMS projects that are running, according to the Google PageSpeed report, at 96, 98, 99. So, but they're on premium hosts. What are your thoughts so far on what I've said?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of PageSpeed optimizations for people, and the first thing we do is we strip Elementor out of their website and we replace it with Gutenberg blocks. That's what that's the first thing. I'm like, I I have to get it out of here. I think that this is kind of hot. This is a hot take. This is a hot take of mine. But
On the
if
spot.
you're right, if your business is doing less than 1 million annual revenue, you've no reason to be working with a design as complicated as a page builder could provide for you. And instead, the block editor is now capable of bringing you from that 0 to 7 figures mark. Obviously, that there are conversion design advantages that you have from these page builders, but the hosting resources you're going to need to make those work at scale are so complicated. So what I see a lot of my clients do is that when they're going from maybe 100 users to 1,000 users, they use a page builder on their website, and then we get to those 1,000 10,000 users, and then their site is super slow, and we got to figure it out, and our traffic isn't working and everything, and we got to do a rebuild in WordPress blocks now. So I encourage people from the start who have access to blocks today to get started with that, because the page speed will fly, and like your SEO is often dependent on page speed too. So like if the Google bots find your website and it loads slowly for them, they're not going to promote it as highly on Google. So you're going to get SEO advantage, user experience advantage, get people to check out really quickly, and you can do everything you need to do with blocks nowadays. Whereas 5 years ago, Elementor, you have no like other options. You have Beaver Builder, Divi, Elementor. You kind of have to choose one, because otherwise you're going to look like your website's from 1995. But nowadays you have LifterLMS, Skypilot, and everything. You can create a sleek website with WordPress out of the box. And if you are truly a website agency person, you could get into Bricks. You could get into
Etch!
a bunch of Etch. You could get into Etch. I think that people who are passionate about this industry, people who are passionate about web design, love playing with the tools. I feel like that's who like Bricks and Etch is for. Is like the Kurtz of the world, and even me. But I'm kind of moving away from it. But the people who are happy to sit on their computer and happy to play with the toys that are available, and really dedicated to understanding layouts and trying new things. But a lot of the people I work with, they're business owners, and they want their website to take up as little intellectual space, because they're one person operations. They want it to take up as little space in their mind as possible. And so I would recommend keeping your website as simple as possible for those scenarios.
Nice. I'm going to skip a question with Zippy so I can answer this directly. It says, I don't know how the live stream works, but I have limited time to stay. When will you be getting to answers to this chat, or should I make a private meeting to discuss things? Zippy, you are always welcome to go to the experts link, lifterlms.com/experts. Book a call with me, book a call with Emily, book a call with anyone you want that's on that list. And I'll just be blunt. My agency rate's $150 an hour. I'd love to talk to you for as long as you want to talk. The next question that we have is the grading and feedback system robust on LifterLMS? I think it's one of the most robust. Not only that, but you can add columns through custom development as well. So you can add features to the reporting if you want, and you can push the reporting to the front end of the website if you have like certain user roles that you think need reporting to the front end rather than giving them access to the back end of the website. So there's a lot of flexibility that you can develop there. Again, this call gets watched by a ton of people, and it lasts for an hour. So that's part of the other part of that answer is we're here every week for an hour, and we build relationships with people every week over this time. As a full answer, what do you think? Is the feedback system robust on LifterLMS? Emily, what would you change? Because you could even go into social learning, where every membership and course has a news feed, right? Has a forum. So that's like a level of feedback. You can activate comments. That's a level of feedback. You have, you can activate advanced quizzes and actually use it almost like an evaluation and survey tool. That would give you feedback on steroids. And then the reporting, like I said, I think the reporting is pretty dang solid.
Yeah. So we're talking about feedback system, the grading and feedback system. It depends on what you mean by robust. Like, what does this support? It supports like the instructors can leave feedback for students when they submit an assignment or a quiz that has open-ended answers. And so the instructor will do a review. The instructor receives an email notification that says, hey, someone submitted a quiz for you. And then they'll just click a link from the email and go straight in there. The instructor also has a full back-end reporting panel of all the people who are in their course, taking assignments and all the assignments that are on the course or the quizzes. The feedback on quizzes specifically isn't as prominent on the users. I guess I should probably share my screen to talk about this. So let me find a course that has this specifically. So as an instructor, I can see this information here, but about my students, I'm going to find a course that has an assignment that I can demonstrate what I'm talking about. so you can have a solid feel for what this actually looks like. Let's see if there's an assignment, lesson with assignment. Okay, here we go. So there's an assignment. The instructor can come into the assignment and leave remarks. They basically start a review. Your submission only says hello. So these are my remarks. I'm going to give them a grade and then save that review. And so this feedback is going to be visible to the student on their assignment specifically. So they're going to get a notification when they come into the website and an email that says, hey, your assignment has been graded. This is the grade you received. You'll get a little pop-up. And when that student comes into the site, I don't know if I can show you exactly. If I were to switch to the CADES user, the person I just graded, I could show you everything. But basically, let's go into one of the courses and then into lesson with assignment. They're going to come back to this lesson that has an assignment. And then when they are viewing this page, which is the assignment page, oh, this is a task list, but let's imagine that we're viewing this page. This is the page that will have those remarks on it. So the student will have to come back to the assignment to view the remarks, and the instructor leaves those remarks in the back end. So it's relatively basic as to how that works, but we try to provide notifications to support the process to make it easier for instructors and students to know when they have feedback and click a link to simply go and access that feedback. So students view the assignment page and instructors go to the back end to leave remarks.
Yeah. Great. Now, I think we made Joe a little nervous. Joe Very said, hey, just checking. Did you get the questions that I submitted on the Ask Anything link? So I decided to go ahead and add those questions to the chat so everyone knows that I've seen them. So Joe's question is in there, Cindy's question is in there, and Maria's question is in there. So we will be getting to those toot sweet. All right. Is there a way to have a private consultation? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go to the experts link. We got that one. Do you offer assistance to move courses from Moodle? That's a lot of copy and pasting or WP all import or some kind of CSV automation, kind of not automation, but integration. There's ways to do it, but you'd have to really think it through and have a strategy for it, Zippy. We don't care about getting viewers on stream, boo. Here we go. Let's go with Joe. Joe has a book that he put in as a question, so I might have to read it actually from the actual form here. What do we see? It says, hi, hope you're well, Kurt and Emily. Thank you very much, Joe. How can I redirect students to a different page, my home page, when students log in rather than having them land on the dashboard? Also, it says, I'm using Elementor to design the course page. Elementor has a LifterLMS continue button element, which works great, but this doesn't double up as an enroll button, as it doesn't show unless students are already enrolled. Yeah, because it's a dynamic feature. We can talk about that. How can I add an enroll button? I'm currently using the short code LifterLMS table, which works, but it has a lot of unattractive bits around the outside. Yeah, it does. I really just want a plain button. Can I redirect students to a different web page when they log out rather than landing on the login page? I think there's a lot of that we can discuss, Joe. What do you got, Emily?
You have a plugin available to you on the WordPress repository. It's a free plugin. A long time ago, it was called Peter's Login Redirect, and now it's probably called like Login WP or something. I use that one a lot. So WP Fusion also works for this, but often you don't need to spend $300 a year just for this one feature, if that's all you're looking for. That's my recommendation. And then... yeah, we had a question 2, using Elementor to design a course page. Or did you just want to talk about question 1?
Do I need to go back up?
Yeah. No, yeah, so we have the login redirect feature. Use that one. Elementor has a continue button. Yes, it works great. but it doesn't double up as an enroll button. It doesn't show unless a student's already enrolled. How can I add an enroll button? I'm currently using the shortcode LifterLMS table. Yeah, you to do the enroll button, you want to do a LifterLMS pricing table. That's usually what we do. Even if it's a free course, it'll show the access plans that are available, and we call it the pricing table block because most people are charging for their course, but you're going to use the pricing table for free enrollments too.
You know, it sounds crazy, Emily, but in a lot of my Elementor projects, my clients are just creating a button that says, you know, enroll or more info or purchase now or whatever, and then using the direct purchase link from the access plan that runs them direct to purchase.
You can do that too. You can get the link to checkout because every Lifter LMS access plan you create has its own checkout URL. So you can absolutely do that. I've been preferring, I used to do that and I've been going back to access plans lately because I'm like, you know what? It creates a nice little box. Since I've been using Skypilot more, the pricing table is well styled. In some other themes, you might not like the look of the pricing table.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah.
let's touch on that real quick. And I know that, you know, I'm looking at the clock and we've got questions, but when it comes to styling with the dynamic content, we say this a lot, but I want to make sure we get it on this episode. When you're styling with dynamic content, it is going to adopt or liken itself to the global settings of your theme. And so sometimes you go, oh, that's really hideous. And well, yeah, well, we didn't design it hideously. It just interpreted, you know, your theme and its surroundings differently. But you can update that stuff with custom CSS if you needed to.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. If you got CSS skills or you know someone with CSS skills or you can hire someone who has CSS skills, you can really make your site look any way you want it to. Yeah. With time.
Groovy.
Yeah. I just really want a plain button. Plain button, perfect. You could do it the way Kurt described. Just link right to checkout. I can redirect students to a different web page when they log out rather than landing on the login page. That's Peter's login redirect to, or login WP as it's now called. Sorry for so many questions. I put the priority in case you had time to answer. Yeah, so it seems like login WP is a good product for you, and direct link to checkout. I can show that if you want to know how to get that link. So when you're getting that link, super simple. Let's edit our course, any of our courses. We're going to find the enrollment link for this course. All the way down in the access plan section, this is that link that Kurt mentioned there. Direct link to the checkout page. Just copy this and put it in a button, and you're good to go. But yeah.
Emily, I tossed help at lifterlms.com into the StreamYard chat. I tossed my email into the StreamYard chat, and if you want to put your email in the StreamYard chat, I would invite you to do so. If you want.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Sometimes I'm weird about like, do I really want to put my email in chat? And then I'm like, well, on StreamYard chat, there's not a ton of people here in the StreamYard channel. I don't know if I'd throw it out, you know, on like Twitch, but yeah, on the StreamYard chat, it's fine. Hi, could you help me with my video game? I'm trying to play. All right. Let's see. I want to go back up. Michael Wolf is here. Hey, Michael. Hey, Michael. Let's go to Cindy's question. Cindy says, is there a way to get some summary learner stats on the dashboard? For example, number of courses completed, number of course enrolled, percent of total progress, and number of learning hours, etc. on the dashboard. So I assume she's talking about the student dashboard, I think. I don't think she's talking about the Lifter LMS dashboard.
Yeah. On the learner stats on the dashboard, for example, number of courses completed, number of courses enrolled, total progress. Good question. Learning hours. Number of learning hours is one of the most popular requests that we get that LifterLMS can't do, which is tracking the amount of hours someone is on the website. There are user tracking plugins, though, and so it is possible to track how long someone is logged into the website, but you open up a whole can of worms when you dive into that issue because we are not only dealing with how long are they logged in, because what if they walked away from their computer? It's like, what are we counting as a session? Like, is it if they clicked in the last 5 minutes, maybe? Like, we have to define all of these like criteria for what constitutes an active user. And so there are plugins other than Lifter that could work for number of hours
Ooh,
logged in or number of
it
hours learning.
it just occurred to me though, if I remember correctly, Cindy's use case might be continuing education, and I don't know that me and Cindy had a conversation yet about the continuing education add-on that came out a month or two ago. So you can add hours to courses. Like if you say this is 3 credit hours or 5 credit hours, you can add that to your courses, and then that'll come up in your reporting for accumulated
Yes.
hours.
Yes, but
But now,
yeah, go ahead.
moving that from the back end of the reporting to the front end for the student dashboard, I think would, because the data is there, it would just take custom development to make it real.
Yeah, or like with the LifterLMS continuing education add-on, you do have access to a new little dashboard tab. The problem is the verification of the hours. So we have CEUs, and we could change CEUs to say hours, and so then you could say like we completed a 3-hour course, because you can change the title from CEUs to whatever you want it to be: CMEs, continuing medical education,
Magical.
um, magical education, right? But yeah, so you could say that's your hours tab if you want. But basically, how that functions is when you complete a course, you get a certain number of credits. So you complete the course, you get 3 hours. Whether you spent 5 hours on it or 1 hour, you're going to get 3 hours. So forcing someone to spend those minimum 3 hours, Lifter LMS Advanced Videos is good for that. But otherwise, we would have to do a third party integration.
Yeah. Perfect answer. Perfect answer. Good job. Maria's in. Maria says, is it possible in the free version of Lifter LMS for each student to see in their own profile how long they still have access to a course? Now, that's assuming it's not a lifetime expiration. That would be assuming, like, hey, this course ends in 3 months or 6 months or whatever.
It's a good question, but no. Well, maybe. Is there? That's a good
I don't
question.
think
I don't
there
even know.
is.
I've been
I
using this
think
thing
it
for a
comes
long
up in
time.
orders.
I think it does come up in orders here. I was thinking, like, does it come up here? It says when you were enrolled. It doesn't say, like,
Yeah.
and it says your status. It doesn't say, like, when it's going to expire, but yeah, you're right that in orders we should see that. It's just not going to be as friend center as they might. Here we go. On hold. Next payment. So this one definitely has the terms. So start date, and you would have end date as an option if it wasn't a recurring plan. This
Yeah.
access plan is, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
So I think
possible.
that's where they get that information, but it's not like there's a countdown on the course page that says, warning, you have 3 days left.
Yeah.
It's not like that. They have to go to their data to get that. I think I already put this up, but you're very welcome, Joe. Michael Wolf. I'm curious about which WordPress website enhanced search solutions you recommend. I think this came up last week. Did it come up? Was it last week? It was relevancy for me. Um, and I know that I sound partial, Michael, but that's the one I've been using lately. And last week I really struggled remembering the name of it, but it was relevancy. Relevancy for advanced search has been working flawlessly for me. I've been really, really happy with it, and it's available in the WordPress repository, and it was super easy to set up. And like I said, my clients are happy with it too. Search out of the box with WordPress is just not that strong. And so, using an advanced search tool, especially one out of the repository that's free, can certainly be a gift. Let's see. Wow, Joe's back again with nice things to say. That really helps. Only if you get time. Here we go. Only if you get time. Zapier versus WP Fusion. Somebody on this call might be a little partial. To begin with, all I need to do is connect Lifter LMS to MailerLite, and I don't want to spend too much money. I've heard Chris say that both are good. Any preferences? Well,
Yeah, I I did work with WP Fusion for a while. Um WP Fusion has a very deep integration with LifterLMS and the mailers it supports, so you might find more triggers than you'll find on Zapier. Zapier is a third-party service, so your connection is A to B to C, your website to Zapier to your CRM, 1, 2, 3. Whereas WP Fusion is just 1 to 2. It's just your website to the CRM directly because WP Fusion is software that runs on your website directly. So for security purposes and for timing efficiency purposes, automation reliability purposes, WP Fusion can be a bit more reliable long term, but WP Fusion's probably going to be more expensive coming out of the box. Zapier will get more expensive when you have millions of people running your automations. It'll be more expensive long term, but in the short term, in the getting started period, it's totally chill to use Zapier. You just want to think about I see a lot of education companies and companies that deal with sensitive information run stuff on Zapier, and it's a little bit complicated because you are exposing data to a third-party service, and it's going around the web a little bit more. So, if you have, like, if it's like a online course website with children, there's like people under 13. You have data regulation requirements that are going to be of higher importance. If you're handling information, you need to follow HIPAA requirements. You're going to want to make sure that if you are going to use Zapier, which is another service, another server that's going to have access to some of your information, that you're following the compliance standards. But if you're just like, hey, I'm building a course about how to cook food or make how to make an omelet and easily, I'm not doing data security practices, then Zapier is like just so easy to use out of the box. It's just a consideration that most people don't think about securing Zapier when they think about their security standards. But that's it. I think Zapier is chill.
Yeah, and tons of automation tools out there. You're not just limited to two. So, there's AutoKit, there's and let's just be blunt. Oh my goodness. Like what's the driving force for being on MailerLite? Is it a codependency on a third-party site or something that, is also using MailerLite, or is the company got like a contract? Did they buy some, AppSumo lifetime access to it or something? Or are you in a position where you go, well, gosh, we could just put a CRM in the back of the website and we don't have to automate nothing. We just put it in there and it works. And so there's ways to do that. 12:54, we're looking good on time. Cindy said it was the learner's dashboard. So yeah, pushing that data that you asked about to the learner's dashboard, I think would take a little bit of custom development, but have no fear. It looks like Claude is on the way. I am going to just say it, and it's not necessarily for you, Cindy. It's for everyone else that watches this. I use AI all the time. A lot of people use AI all the time. I'm not going to judge you for using AI. That's not the point. My point is, if possible, please experiment in a staging website. Test, validate, audit what you get for code or for solutions with AI, because there's a lot of security issues and function issues that come up. I consider myself a professional in the space, and just this week, we were working in a staging website for a customer, and then I thought we were under some kind of time restraint to get something done. And I went to the staging site, and the staging site was down. Like, the server took the staging site down. And it's not my server. I'm not hosting it. I'm just working with this customer. And then I said, okay, well, I want to make the customer happy. And this is a pretty easy thing. I'm just going to slap in code snippets here and put in this quick little code snippet. And when I did it, the whole website went down. It happens to the best of us, right? And so I just want to implore you and anyone else that's listening, if you are trying to customize, if you're trying to do some custom development and you're using AI for your information, please play in a staging site first and then move it to production when you feel that it is secure. Joe says, I tried with Uncanny Automator, but I had to set a 1-minute delay to make sure the user was logged in when the recipe kicked in to add them to my mailing list. But then I thought, what if they log out in the first minute after enrolling? All right. Boom. Cindy says, good advice and a reminder. All right, folks. This has been a great call. I really appreciate everybody coming. Sometimes when there's a lot of questions or there's a lot of activity or a lot of people that come in, sometimes it might feel like we're all business and we're bopping from one thing to the next, or answering like short, you know what I mean? Like I tend to be a bullet point direct communicator. And if I came across harsh today, that's not the intention. The intention is to get through the questions and make sure we add value to as many people as possible. But at the end of the day, we still like to have a good time because Lifter LMS is a fun place. Emily, anything to add before we hit them with our discount link and all that crud?
No, I'm chilling. Have a good
You're
week.
chilling. Perfect. Well, then let's go to this. If you want to try Lifter LMS, this would be a good one for Zippy, actually. If you don't already have it, go to lifterlms.com/try. You get a fully populated, fully add-ons, extensions, all that junk in there, right? 30 days for $1. You go in, it's already set up with sample users, sample courses, sample groups, all that's there. And so if you want to try and play with other tools or integrations or other things, that's a great way to do it because you're not having to build a bunch of stuff to start playing. It's already built. So you can sign in, start playing right away. And you can treat the site like it's yours for 30 days. If you break it, don't worry about it. They'll spool up another one. The other thing was the 55% off. And I thought we used to have it as a sign, but it looks like it's just a ticker for me right now. Get your 55% off coupon by going to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. We did put that link into the StreamYard chat for people to see that there. And you've got my email, you've got Emily's email, you've got Lifter LMS's email, all in the StreamYard chat for those of you that came in through that channel. And I think that's going to wrap us up. Emily, wave goodbye.